Happy Tuesday. So I wanted to make another video about light language. And as many of you know, I am currently writing a book about light language, co-authored by three of my amazingly gifted sisters. And in the process of writing this book, I'm remembering, and the other authors mentioned the same thing, that in having to recall recall history and experiences with the language of light, we are all learning new things about it and about ourselves, about how to use it. For instance, for me, what was interesting was I was in one of the chapters. I think I was describing light language and the many ways that it presents itself. And one of those ways, of course, is spoken light language. Another is written symbol form, and another is movement in movement, which I call sacred dance. And because think about sacred dance. There are many cultures that have dance ceremonies, ceremonial dances, and there is a focus for each of those. So, there's a dance for healing. Well, there's lots of dances for healing, but in the movement of the body and the hands, there is a movement. There is, what do you call it? Manipulation of frequencies, manipulation of energies as they perform these specific, very calculated geometrical moves. There is, I call that light language, a form of the language of light. So in that chapter where I'm sharing that, I was also sharing about the transmission of the language of light through song, and that whenever I do that, whenever I channel light language through song, it always sounds different to me than when I speak light language as a spoken frequency. And I've noticed that with other people who sing the frequencies versus speaking them. I think that most people stick to one form or another, I've noticed. Although that's shifting, but in the beginning, it seemed as though most people would either sing it, speak it, sign it, or move it. And now I'm seeing that more people are being so. Those of you that know me know that that I'm also an intuitive, and so I have beings talking to me all the time. And sometimes they have a great sense of humor. So as I said that, that more people are waking up, or not waking up, more people are changing the way that they transmit or channel light language. I heard ambidextrous. They have a great sense of humor. So now I'm finding that that people are speaking it and singing it, or they're speaking it and signing it, or speaking it and writing with symbols. There aren't that many people who are doing everything. I've been fortunate enough to be one of the people, not just one, there are a lot of us, but to be one of the people who is doing all of that. I transmit it in all of those ways. And where that comes in with what I'm sharing with you is that I was sharing on in that particular chapter the differences for me, because the book is all, my portion of the book is all about my understanding, um, what I've experienced, which, I've said a million times is going to be different from what everybody else has experienced. And it's going to be different from what you experience. And that's the whole point of the book. That's the whole point of giving you four understandings, is that although I know these sisters, I've known them all for a long time, we each have a different understanding of light language, and we each use it differently. And that's what I'm going to love about giving you this book, is that you don't just you don't have to take my word for it, right? You get four understandings, four examples, four experiences, and I'm really excited about that. But to carry on, so um, when I was writing down my explanations and my descriptions, um, when I came to the sung part, and it's not even vocal, it's where I sing the light languages. I noticed, because when I'm channeling light language, I intentionally put this aspect of me to the side, my ego. I intentionally set my ego to the side, and then I will set my intention to be a clear channel for the language of light. And so when I'm actually transmitting it, I'm listening to myself. I don't know if that makes any sense to most of you, but it's as though I can hear. It's like listening to a radio channel or something. I can hear the language of light coming out of my mouth, but I'm not in control of it. And I know that I'm not in control of it because there are times, I mean, to be honest, there have been times when my self, my Patricia self, wants to gift a song. I want to give a song, and it is not coming out. It's only the spoken light language that's coming out. So, and that little part of me that's sitting over to the side going, but I really want to sing. I love to sing, and nope, it's only words coming out. And so I am never in charge of that. But anyway, when I do, like I said, I can hear myself, like watching me as a third person almost. And so I can hear the changes in what we've only been able to describe in English. Our limited English is the dialects, right? And we say dialects because there are times when other people have reported to us that, it sounds a little Aborigines, it sounds a little Asian, it sounds a little French, it sounds a little Italian, it sounds a little, African, and even Indian, as in India, Indian. And so we call those dialects because I don't have another word for it. I'm sure someone has another word for it, but that's the only word that the four of us are using, is dialects. So anyway, whenever I'm speaking it versus when I'm singing it, I can hear a difference. I can hear that there's a difference. And so when I'm writing this particular chapter, I wanted to be able to describe that in some way, and I was trying to find the right words. to describe that. And what I heard intuitively was that the difference is that the frequencies are coming in um, as and I always mess up this word, solfeggio frequencies. Solfeggio, I think. Solfeggio frequencies. And there are the 432 megahertz, there's the 8 something, the 7 something, 6 something. And they were talking, not recently, but I recently ran across an article about the 444 megahertz frequency that has been shoved under the table and overlooked because it is the master frequency of healing, and that science or whoever, if you want to go into conspiracy theories, if you want to go down that rabbit hole. But they were talking about how it's been manipulated, and that the 444 frequency has been hidden, from humanity, and it's been rediscovered. But anyway, whenever I was writing this article, they, as in the beings that talked to me, was sharing that that what I'm doing when I'm singing it is that I'm singing in the solfeggio frequencies, and so it feels different, it sounds different, it's received differently than the written or the spoken or even the hand movements. And my dog is going nuts in there. And so yeah, so they were just telling me the difference and why it's different. So there are times when I am doing light or transmitting light language or whatever. I always have a focus or an intent for doing it. My sisters, the co-writers of the book, co-authors of the book, they all describe it as a feeling in their throat, that their throat feels full and that they just have to speak it. They have to let this out. And we were in one of our light language galleries, and I don't know why he's so excited about something. We were in one of our light language galleries, and we were giving our explanation at the beginning of the gallery for what our understanding of light language is and how we use it, and Laura, who is my partner in the galleries, and she's also a co-author of the book, was saying that hers is what do you call it? I can't think of the word, but anyway, she feels that pressure in her throat, that she has to speak it, and that she doesn't have a choice, basically, that she has to speak it. And so I've never felt that. I get like an intuitive hit that I need to speak it. It's not a pressure. It's not a physical. There's his self. It's not a physical calling that I have to speak it. Mine is more an intuitive calling. But anyway, so one of the participants in the gallery said, she was challenging us in her own way, and I don't mind that, because it makes me think. It makes me it causes me to reflect and find my own answers when someone questions me. So anyway, she questioned us, and she said, okay, she said, so if you can only speak light language when you feel the calling, she said, then how are we here? Why are we here? And why is it that you can give a talk and then you can say, okay, now I'm going to channel light language? If if it builds up in the throat, you have to wait for it to build up in the throat, and then, you know, um, in other words, she was in some ways calling us a fraud, and or it felt that way. Maybe she wasn't, but it felt that way. And but when she said that, I had to think about it, and I said, that is a good question, and I said, let me ask. And so I asked my beings, um, tell me about this. Tell me, show me what it is that I'm doing, because I don't know about you, but a lot of the times I do things automatically, and most of us do. We just do it. We do it automatically. We don't know how we do it. We don't know why we do it. There are things that we just do that it's just natural to us. And we think everybody else does the same thing. But guess what? They don't. You're an individual. And so that was one of those moments when I had to say, wait, how do I do this? If Laura's comes up, like bubbles up at her throat, and she has to speak it, why is it that I can say, okay, I'm going to channel light language now? In other words, how can I flip it on and off like that? That's what the lady was asking. If it is channeled, how can you flip it on and off? Well, I mean, anybody who channels can answer that question, right? But because when you're channeling, you can flip it on and off. I mean, law of free will, you choose whether or not you want to be the channel, and you choose the time and place that you want to be the channel. We're always in control. There are some people who say they're not. There are some people who say that they have to channel. I don't know. I like to feel like I'm in control. How about that? And so I told her, okay, well, let me ask that question. And so I took a minute, and and I asked the beings, show me what it is that I do. Show me, give me the answer to what she's talking about. And so and it only takes, those of you that do this work know it doesn't take forever to get an answer. And so what they showed me in my mind's eye, if you want to say that, but what they showed me was, because what I do is I ask them to slow it down and show me what I do, because I've had to do that before to answer other questions, and it's a pretty neat trick if you need to know that. And so I told them, slow this down and show me what it is that I'm doing so that I can explain it to her. And so what they showed me was what I explained to you earlier. They showed me that I put my ego aspect of me, my little ego aspect, I actually set her to the side, like on a bench, for a better description. I actually take her and I sit her to the side, and then I say, I'm open to channel a message for this person, place, or thing, because it's not always a person. And so I will put my ego to the side, and then I will say, I'm open to the highest light beings available to channel a message for this person, place, or thing. And then I wait until I feel the message. I feel the channel. I feel the transmission. And whenever I feel the transmission, then I will open my mouth and allow it to come out. And so, that was, her intention for the question. I don't feel was very good, but it doesn't matter because it helped me. It helped me to explain to myself, and so that I'm more prepared if and when the question comes up again. And guess what? In 4 years, not one other person has ever asked me that question. So I've never had to use it again. But I'm glad that she asked, because it like I said, it prompted me to ask the beings to slow down the process and show me what it is that I do. I mean, because how can you share with others? How can you teach or explain if you're not cognizant of what it is that you're doing? And the thing about me is, what most people know about me is that I function out of trust 99% of the time. I function out of trust, and I have these rules that I make. And one of the rules is that I will only channel the highest light beings available when I'm doing work for other people specifically, because there are people who always have a question of who are you channeling? Well, I'm channeling, and I had to do that. I had to do the same thing for that question. I had to say, wait a minute, who am I channeling? Let's slow this down. Show me who I'm channeling. And so I did the same thing for that process once. And what I saw was that I'm not channeling a being, I'm channeling a group of beings, which is why I say they, because it's not one. I hear people they'll say, I'm channeling Metatron, I'm channeling Buddha, I'm channeling Jesus, I'm channeling Archangel Michael, and um, I've never, I mean, in my whole history of doing channeling and doing intuitive work, I've never asked to narrow it down to one being, probably because I intuitively realize that I'm not just working with one being, but I just always say they, and that's why I say they, because it is a group. Um, it is a council. And why did I tell you that? I forgot why I told you that. But anyway, so that's what I wanted to share with you today. A little bit more of my understanding of light language. So, thank you for joining me.